Thank you very much, Stan. We're back with our fourth group of Ag Education and FFA students from Salem High School on FFA Day at KSMO. As most of our regular listeners know, this day was scheduled for about 2.5 weeks ago, but Mother Nature came along and dumped some of that ice and snow on us, and then you guys didn't have school for a week or more, and oh well, the rest of it's history. But we're back ready to do FFA Day on KSMO. These five with me today are going to introduce themselves. I'd like for them to tell a little bit about themselves, just do a general introduction so folks know who they are, and welcome them to FFA Day on KSMO. So whoever would like to start, the microphone is yours. Jesse, you're an officer in your officer shirt, which is fine. Looks really nice. Would you lead off, please?
My name is Jesse Mast, and my SAE is beef cattle production, and I work placement at Vanderbilt Drug, and it's my third year in ag, and I'm an officer.
Okay, next time I go in the drugstore, I'll need to remember, that's Jesse. That's Jesse. I know who she is. All right, who's next?
My name is Isabella Black. I am an officer this year. This is my third year in ag in FFA. And my SAE is beef cattle production as well.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Alex Lowe. This is my second year in ag, and my SAE is furniture restoration.
Good.
My name is Kaylin Seitz. I am a senior this year, and I'm the vice president this year, too.
All right.
I'm Ty Rouse. I work placement at Lake Road Steel, and my SAE is beef cattle.
All right. About everybody's already shared what their SAE is, so I don't know if I got to remember to mark that question off, because that's always what I ask them to tell about is what their SAE is. So I'll just go to another question. Why did you enroll in ag education and become an FFA member? It doesn't matter who answers first. Sometimes it's easiest to be the first one to answer because somebody, you don't get the point where somebody steals your answer already. So well, share. Why did you enroll in ag education and become an FFA member?
Well, growing up, my dad, a lot of my family, like my mom and my dad were both in ag and FFA. My grandpa taught an ag class, and they talked about it. I thought I'd really enjoy it, and then once I got to high school, I got into ag and then into FFA, and then since then I've just really enjoyed it and stuck with it.
Okay. Who was your grandpa?
Robert Rouse.
Oh, sure. I've known him for a long, long, long time. Yep. Hey, your aunt, too, taught ag, didn't she?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I remember a few things about the Rouse family. That's good.
I don't know whether that's good or bad.
It's good. It's good. It's all good. If you don't believe me, just ask Representative Jason Smith. He can tell you, because your aunt and he had quite competition going through FFA and high school on different activities and different competitions. So, okay, who's next?
So I didn't get to start ag till my sophomore year because I'm from Bunker, and they didn't have a FFA organization there. And that's part of the reason why I moved here, because my mom got a job at the high school, so I came out here. And I grew up on a beef farm, so I knew it was something I wanted to be involved in and something I wanted to do in the future. So I just thought it'd be really beneficial to teach me a lot of life lessons too that I'm going to use for my future career.
So FFA in agriculture is a family tradition of ours. My grandfather, my dad, my uncle, and my oldest brother Eric were all in FFA. Now, I've been in 4-H my entire life since I was a kid, and I've just grown around agriculture since we produce beef cattle farm. And it's just something I've always thought about and I knew I'd get into, and I've really enjoyed it these past 3 years.
This kind of seemed like a natural evolution
Yes.
to you, didn't it,
Yes.
Isabella? All right. Next.
Okay, so I wanted to do FFA because I've always been fond of animals. My mom and dad, they were like, well, since you don't have any other electives, go ahead and put it in, see how you like it. You don't have to do it if you don't like it. And I ended up falling in love with it, and here I am.
Kayleen was kind of one of those non-traditional students, you might say, to start with. I had that love for animals, but really didn't have direct involvement, and just got involved in ag and FFA, and here she is, vice president of the FFA chapter. So very good. All right. Who we still got?
In middle school, I took my first ag class, and I didn't know if I would like it or not, but I ended up loving ag, and I knew when I got to high school I wanted to take ag as much as I could and be a part of the FFA community.
Yeah, it's been interesting over the years, and it's probably been 20, 24 years, something like that. We've had the program for the middle schoolers, and there's always been a lot of those students that, yeah, I don't know what this is. I'll take it, you know. Oh, well, this is pretty cool. I think I'll go ahead and take Ag 1 and then stay with us for several years. So I think everybody shared that experience. Okay. What's been your favorite FFA activity?
This is my first year doing contests. I haven't done my first real contest, but I think it'll be a very good experience to learn from, and I think it's a lot of fun.
Okay. Usually we don't get that answer with FFA activities, but that's good. It's cool. We're going to talk about the CDEs as well, so that's fine wherever we put that in. There's one thing about this is just kind of a freewheeling, wherever we go, find program, as long as I don't ask the same question 3 or 4 or 5 times. That's what I've got to watch out for. Okay, other favorites.
I agree. I also love contests, and this is my second year doing poultry, and I talked Alex into doing poultry this year because we needed a team. And my sophomore year, we went to state for horses, and state convention was a lot of fun too.
Poultry was one of my favorites when I was teaching. It's different. It's one that folks don't have much experience with, but you learn that there's so much more to the poultry industry than just having an egg for breakfast, which if you can afford an egg for breakfast now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, someone else.
My
Well,
favorite. Oops, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay, my favorite was National Convention when we actually got to see Temple Grandin speak this year. That was my favorite.
Oh
It
my!
was good.
I'm sure it was.
Yes.
I've never had that firsthand opportunity. She was at Rolla many years ago, and I wasn't able to get there to hear her speak. I know she's unique, very unique, and I've watched some programs on YouTube and what have you that she's done. So very, very capable. Hi, go ahead.
Well, the CDEs was fun, because I grew up on raising beef cattle, so I chose livestock. And second year doing, it's been my second year doing livestock, and it's been real fun. I like the competitions. I think one of my favorites have been earlier this school year. We held a petting zoo there at the school, and Miss Jade and Sanders have both kind of mentioned it. I threw out the idea of, hey, I've got all these animals I can bring. It was, Miss J said, sounds good. Just basically gave me free range to do whatever and just take care of the whole deal there, and went from there. It turned out really good. It was a real fun day. Even had little barrel trains drove around in.
Yeah.
Brought my little garden tractor out, pulled that barrel train with it. It was a really fun day.
All right. Awesome. Different kind of activity there.
I'm stuck between two. My contest this year is extemp speaking, where you can just make up a speech in 30 minutes, and to me that's so interesting. But the other one I really liked was doing Ag on the Move, where you get to go in and teach the children about ag, which I will always be a big advocate for that, because agriculture to me is something very important that the future generation should carry on.
Can you share a little more about Ag on the Move, what was involved there? Because I've heard about it a little bit last hour, and I think this is about the 3rd year for it, something like that. So, and apparently Isabella's not the only one involved in it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Ag on the Move is where we go to all the different schools, and we go to the 3rd graders, or is it 4th graders?
3rd.
And we go, and each week we teach them a new and different aspect of agriculture. Like one week we'll teach them about poultry, another week about beef cattle, another about dairy cattle. And we're just teaching all the children essentially what agriculture that we have in Missouri. So we did crops, we did livestock, we did how dairy cattle are. We're just teaching essentially the children the different aspects of agriculture.
Okay.
And why it's important.
All right. That gives folks an idea about that. Other activities that you'd like to share? Okay. I'll change direction just a little bit. What have you found to be the most challenging part of ag education and/or FFA? What's been the most challenging to you?
Public speaking and getting out of my shell and speaking for myself and just putting myself out there, I guess.
Very common answer to that question. You bet. Anyone else?
I agree a lot with Jesse, but being in FFA really opens up a new side of you to be out there and be outgoing. It also opens up, well, never mind. We'll save that for another conversation.
That's okay. No problem.
I mean, I can't really say a whole lot about the public speaking because, as you know, with the Rouse family, we just love to talk to just everybody.
Yeah.
So that's never really been a big problem for me. But I think for me personally, you know, with all the trips we go on, you know, the schoolwork is what, you know, it piles up. You just still gotta try to keep that going and stay on top of it.
I don't know whether you find it interesting or not. I do. That's the second time today one of the students has mentioned keeping up with the makeup work because we're gone so much with ag education, FFA. And that's an important responsibility you got to develop because if you don't take care of that side of it, you don't get to do the other side of it. And, you know, education today is under so many challenges to make sure that you're getting all that you can get out of school that you got to take care of that. That's a challenge for everybody if they'll make sure and recognize it as a challenge and take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that just alone I have problems, and then, you know, you throw the FFA and ag on top of it, so that just helps the work pile up even more.
Sure. Good point. All right, anything else been a challenge?
The busy schedule of it. Like Ty has said, all the makeup work you get from all the trips we do with it, especially as an officer, we're gone more than a normal member is. Like last Friday, we were gone all day helping with the fish fry we did for the community and the teachers. And that work just piles up, especially with that busy schedule that we have.
Okay. Excellent. All right, I think we deals pretty well with challenging. And anything else to add on career development events? I know we mentioned poultry, we mentioned some of those. Any other lives or career development events you've been involved in or you have goals to be involved in?
I'm doing entomology this year. This will be my second year doing entomology.
It's a tough one.
It is.
I remember trying to train an entomology team when I was teaching, and I found it to be very tough. Maybe you can find the right 3 or 4 people to do it. I hope you can. I encourage you to try to. That's, you know, that may lead you into your future career if that interest. So, any others?
Well, no, so like I was saying earlier, you know, this is my second year doing livestock, and last year I was the one who basically taught the team because the people on my team really didn't know a whole lot. They had their certain subjects. Because with livestock, there's, I believe, 4 different categories of animals.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, with my teammates, there was people who knew some about one animal and some about another animal, but they didn't have that collective knowledge of all. So I had to go through and teach them how to judge all the animals. But which kind of led me to go a little bit farther behind because I was spending more time teaching them than I was learning for myself. So this year, I would like to try to get a little bit better on helping myself too.
And that's a tough call because lots of times those folks, maybe all their experiences, say it's with beef cattle, well, they have some preset conceptions that may or may not be accurate to fit what goes on in,
Right.
you know, selecting a cow to go in as a mother cow in a cow herd is different than selecting that market steer.
Oh, yeah.
Some of you do in terms of getting prepared for the expo. So it's big educational task you've got in front of you.
Yeah, I think really the only thing that helped me is I grew up, you know, on a beef cattle production farm, but, you know, show animals. I had sheep and goats. I showed hogs, steers, and, you know, I didn't ever really show poultry, but, you know, that's a completely different subject from the livestock area.
Sure.
So, you know, I had that slight knowledge of knowing what to look for on top of, you know, just sites that we had to use, that we were using to help us learn to go to these competitions.
All right, very good. Well put. Pretty well got that taken care of. Did we deal with everybody's SAE? Okay, I just want to make sure. I forgot to mark that off, and anymore if I don't mark it off, then I just get totally lost. Why don't you, if you would, share with our listeners and our viewers what you've, and I think you've already done this to an extent, what you feel has been benefits of Ag Education FFA to you individually.
I think you learn a lot of responsibility through the ag program. Also, trying out new things to see what you would like to be when you're older, opening up new career opportunities.
Exploration of career opportunities, good. That's an important part of it. All right, someone else.
Just teaches you a lot of just life skills that you'll need to know to be a successful adult and make it in the real world and college and everything beyond high school.
Well put.
I was going to say one of those big life skills is record books because it teaches you where you spend your money and how to budget more.
And this is
Track of it too.
Yes.
And this is the only second group today that's mentioned the record books. Usually when I ask what you found to be most difficult, it's been the record books or the FFA Creed comes up. And that varies by group, of course. More first-year students will remember the difficulty of the Creed. But then as you get older, maybe you look back and say, well, you know, that Creed wasn't near as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, and most of the heads here, for listeners on the radio, most of the heads are shaking up and down that, you know, they agree that that's basically how we've looked back and found that to be. Anybody else on benefits? I think Alex did an excellent job of summarizing some of those, but if anybody's got anything else that you'd like to share, well, it's an open forum. You just go right ahead. All right, let me pose a situation to you. Let's say next week that you have the opportunity to visit with a group of 8th graders, and they're getting ready to enroll for the fall semester. What would you tell them about ag education and FFA?
I'll tell them about all the school you get to miss.
But then all the makeup work you got to do? No, you don't tell them about that yet.
You just kind of glance on that. You don't put a whole lot of,
You don't really touch on that subject. You just kind of skirt around it.
But you do get to miss a lot of school. You bet.
Yep.
But you got to be responsible enough to make it up. All right, that's one of the benefits. You know, the educational system might not look at that as a benefit, but it is in lots of respects in terms of how that helps form you as an individual to be that responsible person that makes sure and get that work that we were not able to do at that time, we weren't there for, to make sure we get that done. So when the next time comes around for an opportunity to go someplace, be gone a whole day, or fish fry or whatever the case might be, that those teachers say, yeah, you've been making up your work. That's sure, no problem. And communication, you all talked about the fact that developing those communication skills and communicating to those other faculty members about getting that work ahead of time or making sure I get it made up. Those are all important aspects of life, period, whether it's ag education or FFA. All right, anything? What else are you going to tell them? You're talking to 8th graders, and they're just, they're 8th graders. They're just silly little kids. So, sorry, 8th graders. No insult intended. Just being silly. Just being silly on my part. Anything else you tell Isabella?
I definitely tell them about the opportunities that FFA and agriculture open to them. As Alex has said, the careers you can explore in agriculture are many. And I believe FFA, especially if you go to national, you get to see all of them there and really look, and you can visualize it. Agriculture is not just crops. It's not just cattle. It's just not livestock. It's so many different aspects.
Well put. And very good summary of what goes on in agriculture education, FFA.
I think there's a lot of fun learning experiences also. Just going along with missing school, like a lot of us, not all of us, but there's quite a few of us, going into ag and FFA, have a lot of experience with cattle or, some sort of livestock. There's a lot of fun trips we get to go on, along with, missing school. You get to learn a lot of fun and educational things. Like taking animal science, that gives you a better understanding of, of your cattle, of your sheep and pigs, just your livestock in general. And then there's trips to go along, not all the time, but every once in a while you get to go on a fun trip like that to help you learn more about the world around you and about that topic that you were on.
We know what a cow is, but do we understand the digestive system of a cow and how that all transports through that entire what we call four stomachs of a cow? Getting to go to Wordak and stick her hand in they've done that. Their heads are going up and down. They're saying, yep, the dairy cow that has the fistula in its side and called a cannula, and they can actually sample some of those rumen contents, even though it's kind of, that's what it is. It's all grass in a stage of digestion, isn't it, that goes on there. The reproductive system of an animal. Just so many different aspects that we know generally about it until you get into an ag class that goes into the details. Then we start getting into the nuts and bolts, so to speak, of it, don't we?
Yeah, we just got out of our AI.
And this is
artificial intelligence.
Dissemination.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is not artificial intelligence we're talking about.
I completely disagree with artificial intelligence.
Well, yeah.
I'm against it. But the artificial insemination, we just got out of that. We took a trip to
Show Me Genetics.
Show Me Genetics. That was a really fun and interesting trip that we went on. There was a lot to learn there too.
Sure.
But not only how to use that stored semen, but also along with how they collect it, how they store it, all of the things that go on with that in general.
AI, embryo transfer, which, that was technology was just starting back when I was teaching years ago, and now it's just kind of normal to.
There's a lot of people that do it, and it's fairly common now.
It is. Well, first times that I remember it was actually done in a sterile laboratory. It wasn't just done out in the barn, and basically now they can do it perform those different processes almost anywhere to flush those cows, select those embryos, and then, it's awesome technology. All right, let's shift to talking about your future plans. What do you have planned for the future? Now, this could be what you've got planned yet for high school and ag education FFA after this year, or it can be you can be sharing what you have planned for after high school. What's in your future plans?
This fall, I will be attending College of the Ozarks in Hollister for a bachelor's in agribusiness.
I see. Very good.
This fall, I'll be attending Missouri State West Plains. I'm going to major in elementary education because it gives me a baseline because you just need a bachelor's to teach. And then from there, I can go to the SPED department, or I could even test in to teach high schoolers too.
Okay. There's some goals, good goals. What else?
Well, with growing up on the farm, you work on a lot of equipment. I've always loved working on tractors. I own quite a few myself, which has led me to want to go into the field of agricultural diesel mechanics. And after my senior year, I plan on attending OTC in Springfield and to go through a course there, then try to find somewhere to work from there to get into that career. And at some point, I would like to have my own shop and my own business to work out of.
Those steps in your future, you've got a plan in place. Excellent.
After senior year, will hopefully be attending State Tech, so I can learn to be a heavy machinery operator. I've, since being an agricultural kid my entire life, I've always been on those big machines, and I've always loved playing in the dirt. And when I learned you could do that for a living and make really good cash, I'm like, that's my job.
Sound like a good plan. Excellent plan. All right. Alex?
Well, my future plans don't really have to do with agriculture. I would like to go into cosmetology school and open my own hair salon eventually, but I would also love to have my own cattle production and things like that.
But there's been you've developed some skills in ag education FFA that will benefit you, whatever that occupation is, the people skills, communication skills, the record keeping.
Yes.
Yeah, hate it. We all hate record keeping, right? But we all realize, more so as we get a little older, that it's a necessary part of life. We're going to have to do that record keeping for whatever occupation we're in. And you all have all named some goals, some occupations, future plans that involve that. Well, I've kind of lost track of where we're on time. What time does this class period end?
11:36.
11:36. Well, you know what? We're right at the point then. We better kind of go to our closure, and that involves sharing with our listeners the list, part of the list of the many sponsors and individuals that have made FFA Day on KSMO possible. I've asked somebody to volunteer to read this, and actually Alex volunteered. So Alex, if you'd help close us out by sharing the list of sponsors of today's FFA Day on KSMO.
We have Roberts and Judson's Lumber Company, VIP Properties, Pat Tackett, broker/owner, Flying W Boutique, 72 Farm Center, South Central Regional Stockyards, Titan Paving and Yard Drainage, Mid-Ozark Animal Health Center, Wilson's Collision Center LLC, Pratt, Mitchell and Company PC.
All right, very good. And I want to thank these five. They've been a great group. They've shared a lot of different kind of responses than some of the other groups, and that's always good to give us some variety. So with that said, I'm going to send the mic back to our station announcer. Stan, if you take it away, it's yours.